Hi guys, this is Miss Anderson and welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to learn a reading strategy called text features. And so text features are important for readers in comprehending and understanding nonfiction texts, okay? So our objective for this lesson today is to help readers like yourself, because this is a strategy that all good readers use, help readers better comprehend or understand nonfiction texts, and we are going to do that with using examples and explanations. Okay, guys, let's go. Okay, so exactly what are text features? So text features are included in the text by the author, okay? And so authors include these features in order to help readers better understand what it is that they have to read. Because remember, in nonfiction text, it is informational. So you are getting information. And so in order to make that information much clearer, or in order to help you to understand it, then authors use text features in order to do that. And so that's what we are going to learn, the many, many different types of text features that authors can use when they produce a piece of nonfiction or informational text. All right, so in addition to that, text features provide information that may not be written in the text itself, okay? And so that's what makes reading so interesting, is because the author has many, many different ways to include information. So sometimes they can put it in the text, and sometimes they can put it in a text feature like a photo or something like that, okay? And so then text features can be found just about everywhere, okay? Textbooks, magazines, articles, newspapers, reports, web pages on the internet, infographics, everywhere you will find text features, okay? And so one of the things that I have to remind you is that a lot of struggling readers, or readers that don't really comprehend or understand what they have read, they ignore and skip over these text features. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I want you to change. That is a no-no. You cannot skip over the text features because they are there to help you understand the text, okay? And so in the next slide and the next few slides, we're going to talk about these different types of text features so that from this point on, when you are reading, you are going to identify those text features and read them and then connect them with whatever the topic is that you are reading about. Okay? All right, let's go. Okay, so the first text feature we will discuss is the table of contents. And I am pretty sure everyone is familiar with a table of contents. It's usually found in the front of a book, usually a textbook, or basically any type of book you can find the table of contents. But what is the purpose of the table of contents? So the first thing it does is it lists the major parts of a book along with the page numbers, okay? So if you are looking for something in particular, then you simply go to the table of contents and you can find that chapter along with the book number, the page number, sorry. It also outlines the main topics or the main points of the book. So if I am picking up a book for the first time and I really want to, just skim it and just get a broad view or a broad understanding of what's in the book, then I go to the table of contents. That table of contents are going to tell me the name of the chapters, the number of pages. So it's going to tell me how many chapters this book has, and it's going to tell me how many pages this book has. So I know if this is a short book, a long book, if it has many chapters, and I can see by the page numbers approximately how many pages are in each chapter. So we learn a whole lot from the table of contents, okay? And so what we do is we use this table of contents to help us to locate information that's in the book. And it also tells us how the book is organized, the different chapters and things like that. And so what is inside of the chapters. So it is a very, very organized way for us to find information. Okay. All right. So question for you. The information about where animals live would be found where? So in what chapter and on what page would I find where animals live? All right, let's go. Think you got the answer? Let's go. Okay, now similar to the table of contents that's at the front of a book, you can also have an index, which is usually located in the back of a textbook or any other type of book. An index is optional. Not all books have them, but some, especially textbooks, have an index, okay? And so an index is simply an alphabetical listing of the key names and terms or topics that take place inside of the book. So it is another way for readers to find information that they are looking for specifically in the book, okay? So you can go to the index and it is alphabetized. It is in ABC order. You can look up whatever topic or term that you want to find in the book, and then you can see what page number it's on. So it's another way for readers to have an organized way to look for information in a book. This keeps you from flipping those pages, because remember, Miss Anderson does not like to hear the sound of pages flipping in a book, okay? And this allows you to be intentional in your learning, okay? Remember, that's our goal for this year, is to be intentional, okay? All right, so our next question is, where would a reader find information in the text about acid rain? So where in this book would I find information about acid rain? Okay, now the next text feature that we have is very similar to the table of contents and the index, and you are probably familiar with this one as well. So this one is called the glossary, okay? And the glossary is most often found in the back of the book, but sometimes right before the index, but sometimes, guys, it can be found in the front of the book as well. It just depends on how the author wants to lay out the book, okay? But glossaries are very, very useful, okay? The first thing is it lists all of the key terms in alphabetical order. So remember that ABC order allows us to find things very, very quickly. And then the glossary it's going to give you the definition of all of the key terms that the author feels are important in that book, okay? The glossary also can tell you how to pronounce a word, because if you look, these two terms that they have, acid rain and adapt, they also have the pronunciation, okay? AS is for as, IHD is for id, and then RAYN is for rain, okay? Acid rain, acid rain. So that's the pronunciation. Pronunciations, guys, I can't even begin to tell you how helpful they are. Pronunciations are not only found in the glossary, but some authors put them inside of text as well to help you be able to pronounce that word. And they most often always will give you a definition as well. Remember, that goes back to those context clues, okay? Reading intentionally and looking for the clues that helps you understand those words. But anyway, so yes, a glossary will also have sometimes the pronunciation of a word, okay? And so the glossary helps readers to look up key terms or I'm not going to say information because that's usually the index, but the glossary is a list of definitions that allow readers to look up the key terms, and that helps you to better understand what it is that you are reading. Because remember, it goes back to my saying that you have to know the meaning of every word in a text or that you are reading in order to fully understand or comprehend what you have read. Okay, so you have to understand the author's intention, and so utilizing the glossary, guys, is a skill that you have to start applying. You must start applying the glossary when the author gives you one, because that saves you the time of beating your head against the pavement looking for context clues, and it saves you the time of having to go out to the dictionary. So if the book that you are reading or are about to read has a glossary, go ahead and look at and read all of those words and the definitions, okay? Do that before you start reading, and I guarantee you it will help you improve your understanding and comprehension of the text. Why? Because you will have an idea of what that word means before you start reading. And if you have an idea what it means, when you read it in context in that text, then you will be able to instantly connect those ideas together and make meaning of what you read. Okay, guys? So don't forget to utilize the glossary. Okay? All right, so our question for you is, how would the glossary help the reader understand text about animal adaptations? Can you answer that question? All right, let's keep going. Okay. Now, if you are with me in my classroom, then you have heard me say that titles tell you much information before you start reading a text. Understanding a title before you begin reading will go a long way to helping you to understand what it is that you are reading, okay? Because most often the title is going to tell the reader what the topic of that text is about, okay? So that's the whole purpose of a title, is to give you an idea of what you're about to read. So very rarely, now you'll have some funny titles or some titles that you won't get to the topic until the end, but that's very rare because usually authors want you to have a complete understanding, so they are not going to put that topic, make that title obscure or out of context. Okay. All right, so the title is meant to show the main idea of a text, and it helps the reader by letting us know what we are about to read, okay? And so the title focuses the reader on a topic so that they can make connections between what they already know and the text, because remember, you always have to make those connections when you are reading. So, for example, uh, I have to make a connection with what I know about that topic. Where have I read that topic before? What is my understanding of that topic? Do I know nothing going in, or do I already have some idea? Okay, so making connections when you start reading and starting with the title, that will go a long way to helping you to understand and comprehend what it is that you are about to read. Okay, so this is a very good question for you, okay? So what do the titles of these articles in these newspaper tell you, okay? And so let me add to that. What is the one thing that all of these newspaper titles have in common? Okay, see if you can answer that. What is the one thing that these newspaper titles, these article titles, have in common? Okay, so the next very helpful text feature that we find in nonfiction texts are called subheadings. So just like the titles help you understand the main idea or the topic of the text, well, the subheadings usually divide the text into sections, okay? And that is very helpful for us because we want to be able to transition when the author transitioned to another section or to another idea or to another topic. And so if it weren't for subheadings and all we did was just kept reading, then we would get very confused, okay? So in this particular article, okay, helpful ants, this would be a subheading, okay? And then types of ants would also be another subheading. So these are both sections, okay? And we know the title would be something about ants, okay? But then these two sections here, one tells us the type of ants there are, and then the other tells us how helpful ants can be, okay? So subheadings tell the main idea for each section of a text. They are printed in large or bold type so that they stand out and are visible to our eye. Our eyes will immediately be attracted to that, okay? And then the subheaders help the reader to locate the information in the text by telling them where to look, okay? So if I were to ask you a question such as, where would a reader look to find out about fire ants? Where would you tell me that would be? Okay, so don't forget subheadings, all right? Let's go on to our next text feature. Okay, so the next very important text feature we have is the text itself, okay? So the text itself can be bolded, it can be colored, it can be in italics, it can be underlined, it can have a strike through. There are lots of things that authors can do with the text to draw your attention. And that's what it's supposed to do, guys. It's supposed to draw your attention, and then it gives you signals on what to do with that content, okay? So if you're reading and you're not paying attention to when something is bolded or when it's italicized or when it's underlined, then you're not going to fully comprehend what you are reading, okay? So let's take a look at this little short paragraph here, the wetlands of the South, okay? So we can see that that's bolded, so that is probably a subheading, okay, out of a larger text. Why are the South's wetlands so important? We can see that that's italicized. Why is it italicized? Because that's a question that the text is probably going to answer, okay? So if you skip over that question, or if you skip over understanding why that question is there, then when you finish reading this piece of text, you won't have identified what the author is actually trying to tell you. All right, so the Okefenokee, again, they gave you the pronunciation, and I like the way that word sounds, Okefenokee. The Okefenokee Swamp is a large wetland in the South. A wetland is a place where the ground is soaked with water for at least part of the year. Okay, so why are the South's wetlands so important? Can you answer that question? And then can you make that connection to where we live? If you live near the Chattahoochee River, then you have seen wetlands, because a lot of the riverbed is not the river, but it is the ground, and it is wet for most of the year. So if you live along the Chattahoochee River, then you live along a wetland. Okay? All right, let's keep going. Okay, now we get to what we call the fun text features, okay? Photographs and illustrations. These text features give us information in a visual way. So as you can see, they are bright and they are colorful, and they help the author tell the story. I'm sure you've heard the idiom, a picture tells 1,000 words. So you can much, much better understand something when you see a photo of it, okay? And so photographs and illustrations work along with the text and the heading to teach you or to give you the information that the author is trying to give you. And so they help the reader understand an idea from a text that may have been unclear. So if it weren't for photographs and illustrations, if you were just reading that text by itself, there's a good chance you may not be able to understand it just given the words alone. But when you add that photo to it, so a lot of you probably remember us in our class reading about the manatees, okay? So it would be very hard for us to visualize these mammals in our head without seeing these photos, because I don't think there's a way that you can fully describe a manatee to me. Yes, you can tell me how much they weigh, their color, but if it takes me seeing a photo in order to be able to say, oh, okay, now I understand what a manatee looks like, okay? So, and that goes along with the top photo as well. Okay, so our question is, how might these photos help the reader understand the text? Okay, so just like the photos and illustrations, text features give us a visual representation of the information in the text, so does captions, okay? And so captions are the text that is below or beneath the photo or the illustration, okay? That's called a caption. And so in this example, the photo here is on some gold coins, and then the captions underneath says, these gold coins were found on the ocean floor, okay? So a caption explains what is in the picture or the illustration. That's the purpose of a caption. And so it helps us by giving us information that the author may have put in the text or they may not have put in the text. So we won't know that, and we won't fully understand the text unless we look at the photo and read the caption, okay? So please make sure when you are reading nonfiction text and you are reading the photos, please make sure that you are also reading those captions underneath the photos, okay? All right, you ready for your question? How does this caption help the reader understand the picture? So if I just had that picture there without the caption, what would you think? And then if this article was about finding a treasure, how would this caption help the reader understand the text? Ooh, good luck. Okay, our next text feature is Textbox, okay? Textbox provide more information that is in the text about a topic. So it's like giving you little pieces of gold, little extra nuggets of information, okay? So Textbox can include interesting facts or any important information that the author wants us to know, okay? And so what the text boxes do is helps us understand the text by creating interest and emphasizing something that is important in the text, okay? And creating that interest, that is very, very important. And that is what these text boxes do, okay? All right, so check out this question here. One of the text boxes above asks the reader to solve a mystery about a Tasmanian devil. Why would he include this mystery? Okay, our next text feature are maps. And so before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you for hanging in there with me. I know our time is getting very long, but we only have a couple of more text features to go. So please hang in there, okay? All right, so maps, okay? So maps are drawings that show the basic shape of the land, okay? And it can include the bodies of water. It can drill down to just a local area, like a state or something like that. And in this case, you see just a map of the United States, okay? So what maps do is they present information in a visual form, geography in a visual form. And what it does is it helps the reader understand where something takes place, okay? Especially as it relates to another geographical area, okay? And so it helps us to see how far away or how close two events took place, okay? For example, the westward expansion, okay? Remember when the colonists came to America and they came in through New York, and then slowly over the years they started their expansion down south, and then they started going toward the west, okay? So when you have a map such as this, that helps you to be able to visualize that, okay? All right, so our question, how would a map of the United States help the reader understand an article about Texas? Our next text feature is diagrams, okay? A diagram is a drawing that shows or explains something, okay? It can do procedures, it can explain something, and it can show something, okay? Diagrams are extremely useful to help us understand a particular topic or point that the author is trying to make, okay? To understand a diagram, the reader should read the titles, all of the labels, the captions, and the numbered parts. So you just can't look at the photo itself. You have to actually study it, okay? So for example, this says it's a volcano diagram, a diagram of a volcano. So if I look from the bottom to the top, I can see that magma under pressure. I can see silt. I can see the older layers. Then if I go to the top, I can see the crater, and then I can see the lava. So what I just learned from this is that in a volcano, the magma is on the inside of the volcano, and once it comes out through the crater, it is then called lava. Aha, did you know that? Okay. So how can this diagram help the reader understand volcanoes? And I pretty much just gave you the answer to that. Well, what it does is helps you understand the process or how a volcano erupts, okay? It erupts by the magma that's under pressure underground, because if you've seen a volcano before, you know that it's very hot, that magma is very hot, it's rolling around and it's under pressure. And then once that pressure pushes it up and out of the volcano, then it becomes ash, and then as it goes down the side of the volcano, it's called lava. So that is what the purpose of diagrams are, ladies and gentlemen. It helps us to visualize and understand or explains a process to us, okay? Very, very important when we are reading. Our next text feature are tables. And so tables allow us to organize large amounts of information in just a small space. And so tables are good to present information like data, like numbers and calculations and things like that. And it helps us to be able to compare information in a text, okay? So looking at this table, how would a table about volcano eruptions help the reader understand volcanoes? Okay, and our last text feature is called timelines, okay? Timelines show very important events in chronological order, okay? Or time order, okay? And they help us to better understand the order of events, okay? Timelines are very, very common, and I'm very sure that you've seen them. And so, but now you want to be intentional about understanding and reading the timelines, okay? All right, so I like this timeline here. It is about technology, okay? And it gives the years of the inventions of technology. And so the last question is, how would a timeline like this one help a reader understand an article about why some older people are not knowledgeable about computers? So check out this timeline. Okay, it says in 1829, the first computer is invented. In 1939, the first electric computer for routine use. And then 1971, the first email is sent. Okay, 1994, web surfing begins. So, why are some older people not knowledgeable about computers? Well, could it be that computers were not popular during their time, so they never learned to use them? Yay, you got it. All right, guys, let's finish up, okay? Thank you very much, guys, for hanging in there, okay? And please, please be intentional about reading and understanding the text features, such as the table of contents, the index, glossary, titles, subheadings, the text itself when it's bolded in different colors and italicized and underlined. Make sure you are looking for the photographs and illustrations, and then the captions underneath those photographs, which explain what the photographs are about. Check out those text boxes and look at the information inside of it, okay? Study the maps and the diagrams and the tables that help you to understand the information that's being presented. And of course, if there are any timelines in there, also pay attention to those as well. All right, guys, so this should bring us some new understandings of how to best help ourselves to understand and comprehend text, okay? That is the whole purpose. So remember, be intentional. Be intentional. So from this point on, you're going to intentionally identify those text features and apply that to help you understand and comprehend the text that you read. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.